Morning, everyone. Morning. It's good to see everyone this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now in the hands of our capable city clerk, Mr. Carroll.
This is the pre-meeting of the Mobile City Council, Tuesday, February the 25th. We have approval of minutes from January the 28th and February the 11th.
Any issues, anyone? Okay.
Appeals, we have requests for a waiver of the noise ordinance on May the 17th from 7 p.m. until 11 p.m. on Spring Hill Avenue. March the 3rd from 12 p.m. until 9 p.m. on Spring Hill Avenue. March 15th from 6 p.m. until 11 p.m. on Conti Street. March the 29th from 11 a.m. until 3:30 on Canal Street between Broad Street and Washington Avenue. And September the 12th through the 14th, 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. in Lions Park.
All right, Mr. President, on the Conti Street waiver, I want to remind everybody that the agreement made between the neighbors and everyone else over there with any noise at that facility, that the time that it would end would be 11 p.m. So if there's any questions to that, there was a neighborhood agreement again that allowed things to go until 11 p.m. Thank you, Mr. President.
So you're okay with this one on Lions Park Avenue from 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m.?
That's the park, correct? That's over at Lions Park, right?
It's on Lions Park Avenue.
I'll look it up in between now, but I thought it was at the park at Lions Park.
Okay.
I'll look it up between now and
Okay. Public hearings. Today is a public hearing to consider an ordinance regarding the issuance of general obligation warrants. Public hearing to consider the application of Cynthia Crenshaw for a certificate of public convenience and necessity to operate a shuttle service. Public hearing to consider the application of Carlos Dixon for a certificate of public convenience and necessity to operate a shuttle service. And public hearing to consider the application of Angel Williams for a certificate of public convenience and necessity to operate a sedan service. Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Reggie Hill, fiscal year 26 budget, public opinion regarding accruing debt, public safety, implementing police training requirements, legal authority, municipal court, OPR, and legal department, civic center, city violations, 2-62 request for plain definitions and interpretation of code. And that's from communications with the council ordinance. And housing responsibility and oversight, City of Mobile has over the housing authority. Ordinance is held over. 64001, consider rezoning property located at 5301 Moffett Road from B2 to B3.
Mr. President,
Ms. Gregory.
we're still working on this one, so we need to lay it over one more week.
Okay.
34004, ordinance to amend Article 6 of Chapter 34, lodging tax of the Code of the City of Mobile.
Mr. President,
Mr. Woods.
I know that 34004 and then 50005, they kind of work in tandem. Can we, there's a lot that's been kind of going on, I guess, the past week and specific, I guess, really the past 4 days. Can we get an update or can somebody explain kind of where we're sitting on this new lodging tax? And then also too, I guess, how that is impacted by the TID?
So on the petition for the TID, it raised the Visit Mobile's portion of the lodging tax from 33.5% to 37.5%. When we ran the numbers out for 20 years, we saw that in the first few years, the general fund baseline revenue from lodging tax at the current rate would have a negative impact on the general fund revenue. And so that's when we kind of came to you and we put a hold on it to hold it over so that we could try to work that out. What the mayor wanted was not to have a negative impact on the current general fund revenue. And so we tried to work that out through an amendment to the original ordinance. We could not do that because the petition states that it's based on total lodging tax, and we couldn't reduce the amount from, 100 or 10% to 8%. So we tried last week and through the weekend to work out an agreement between us and Visit Mobile to where we can make the general fund whole. That became overly burdensome and a little complicated. So what we are proposing now, and I'll have it circulated, the amended version, as we worked on it yesterday, is to reduce the amount of money going to MAA so that we can make the general fund baseline revenue whole so that it doesn't have a negative impact until such time that the lodging tax grows at a rate to where there is no negative impact. And so what you'll see on the amended version of the ordinance is that MAA will not get 3 million this year. They'll get 1 million. And then it'll go to 2 million next year when we collect a full year of lodging tax. Keep in mind that we're only going to collect a portion of the lodging tax this year. Then it'll go to 2.5 million by year 4. It'll go to $3 million a year, which was our original goal, but it'll take 4 years to get there in order not to have a negative impact to the general fund revenue. And then from then on, it will continue until 2035, at which time I think there's a $500,000 payment. They'll still end up with $30 million total. It will just be incremental instead of beginning right off the bat so that we don't have a negative impact on general fund revenue.
And that's because that 37.5 to Visit Mobile, I guess, because that we got to do it based on how the TID that was presented to us by Visit Mobile.
The petition is what the problem was. When the hoteler signed off on the petition, it said 37.5% of total lodging tax. So but the way we configured this was that 2% increase would be dedicated to both MAA and debt service. But by doing that and then increasing from 33.5 to 37.5, you can see where the impact is. It became a negative impact.
So we're having to modify the plan for the airport. And then also too, we're not really counting anything towards debt service on the new arena, really.
You probably won't have any significant impact on debt service until year 6.
I placed the copy, they have a copy, they will put the page 2, I'll let it copy.
Everybody has a revised copy? Everybody has a revised copy. And so what we're proposing is that we amend the original so that the copy that you have, Scott did the numbers. He actually worked on this all weekend to make sure we didn't have a negative impact. It does assume a 5% growth in lodging tax, and some of that's going to come from short-term rental enforcement. And so,
And that TID, so this is basically we're having to scramble and rework because the TID is unmovable just because it's a quote unquote a petition, I guess. I guess with that being said, we know that the existing TID doesn't expire till the 31st of May, correct?
it's correct.
Do you think it would behoove us to work in concert and get a new petition? Because right now, obviously, our concern, or my concern at least, is trying to ensure there's a revenue stream to the airport. That's going to be very important that we lower those gate costs. But also too, I think if we're as a taxing authority, if we're doing this, then I think that, we should also look out for, instead of trying to not negatively impact the general fund, I think we should right size everything and ensure that it is done. And especially cover some debt service for the arena too, because we do know what the amount is, but also too, I just in my opinion, we got a lot, we're taking on a lot, so I think we got to make sure that we know where all the revenue and the revenue streams are coming from. That's just my opinion. Even if we maybe lay this over until we figure that out, or what a new petition looks like, that's just my opinion.
So we met with David Clark, Margot, and Spike to talk about the petition. It took 6 months to get the current petition. There was a general feeling amongst the group that repetitioning was unlikely to succeed if we're reducing the amounts. And so what we've done is did a workaround. We do agree with you. Getting the cost per employment down is paramount to the success of downtown airport. And so what we have before you, the administration at least is comfortable with, is that MAA won't really receive the 3 million until year 4. But after that, we begin to address debt service as well. Sure.
So our first approach was to talk about doing another petition. And it didn't take long for us to realize that really that's not an option, just because of how long it takes to do it and the challenge it is, to get all the hoteliers to sign. Then once we realized that, then we started running different scenarios of how things would look. Keep in mind that the model that we've used is a very conservative model at 3% or 4%, growth. The difference came into what Visit Mobile thought there would be additional, more growth. So using the very conservative model, that's why we had to change the funding to MAA. And talking with the chairman of MAA, they are okay with this. They do not see this as a problem. They're just grateful to receive it. As far as changing the TID from let's say 33 to the 37% and even holding it over, I don't know anything that's going to change that could make it different or better, or really a clearer understanding of what the outcome's going to be by holding it over. I mean, I think we've answered all the questions. So, our hope is that we can, move forward with this, because it's just it's going to benefit the arena and the airport, because a lot of this money that's going to be raised by the TID is really 75% of it goes to marketing, and we've got to market the arena and the airport, and having the additional monies to do that may be crucial, to their success.
Mr. Don, Mr. Woods?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Penn?
Thank you, Mr. President. And I definitely understand my colleague, Councilman Woods, but I did have a couple questions. Of course, I'm looking over the ordinance, the document. For the Mobile area facility debt service, does anything change with the amount that was said that would be given originally?
Until we reach the only thing that really changes is that, because we're having to go by the petition, is that once we get to year 4, so there will be no money for debt service, is what I'm saying, on lodging tax until year 4. Once that 3 million is made whole with MAA, then anything that we receive beyond that 3 million would go toward the debt service.
So is it still, I think in the end, we were looking to get around about 60 million?
Over the life of
Is
the,
that still-
I think that was projected out at 20 years.
Yes.
Over the life of that'll still happen. It's just, we were hoping to shore up the early years, because that's where it's toughest for us. And we're just not able to do that under the way this thing is structured.
The reason why I'm asking that, because even if we don't move forward, that means that we also missing out on 60 million, right?
That's for the debt service.
Debt service.
Yes, sir.
We also will be missing out on 30 million
For downtown airport.
downtown airport. And then we'll be also missing out on marketing for the airport, as well as a brand new civic center that we're trying to bring entertainment.
That's correct.
Okay. So that's the reason why I just kind of want to make sure, kind of just paint the picture that this is definitely, I understand that my colleague, but this definitely is at a point that if we don't move forward, then it's a potential that we're not going to have 60 million, 30 million, any million to be able to market these different facilities that we have.
Yeah, let me comment on the 60 million is, the concept there is people that are using the downtown airport, flying into Mobile, people that are coming to the arena for the events and the entertainment are helping pay that debt service off. The debt service is going to be there whether we pass this or not. It's just, do you pass it on to Mobilians, or do you pass that cost off to visitors to Mobile that are using the arena?
Mr. President,
Yes, Ms. Wood.
last week I told Joel that I couldn't wrap my head around the numbers with what we were doing. Last week I also said how we're gonna make an intergovernmental agreement with an agency that the city created in the 90s between two government agencies, and I thought that was crazy. Today, I still can't wrap my head around everything that we tried to do. So if we're gonna try to vote this through today, it's not gonna pass because I'm not gonna support it today. I need a better understanding of what's going on. And that's just the truth of it. Either we can hold it over, and you guys can sit down with me like I asked last week when I talked to Joe to try to get a better understanding with this, or it can down the vine today. So that's where I am. I'm very supportive of what we're trying to do, but I need a clear understanding because this is the fourth iteration of this over 3 weeks.
I don't agree. The original ordinance is the
I just
original.
asked for an understanding.
Okay.
And I'm not going to support
I'll
it
be
today.
glad.
I may support it next week, but I need a better understanding. And as I said last week, sitting right here at this table, I couldn't wrap my head around it then. Now it's spinning even more based on the continuous changes in numbers. I just need somebody to sit down and say, this is where we started, this is where we are. How did the CVB get stronger in this position in the city of Mobile itself when the state didn't create the agency and the city did? Who's holding the cards in this? I think the city is. This is an entangled mess. So I just need a better understanding because it seems like somebody's trying to hold this council to the fire when the city created the agency. I'm not understanding what's going on right now.
All you really have, I mean, we'll be glad to meet with Councilman Carroll after this to get all his questions answers, but the taxing authority on the lodging tax is the city council. The TID is nothing more than a petition. You can either accept it or reject it.
I agree with all that, but like I said earlier, I mean, and I said this last week sitting right here, I mean, I couldn't wrap my head around the process then. Now it's even, it has more wavering to it. So I think I need a clearer understanding. Even if we're making money and we're getting additional funding, I'm all for that. But I personally need a better understanding of all the angles and changes that we've been through over the last, what is it now, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? So.
Mr. Beatty.
Thank you, Mr. President. With respect to the merits of this, there's some things I don't like about it, but I agree with Mr. Penn. I think again, it's a tax that is almost entirely going to be paid by non-residents of the city of Mobile. It's going to produce millions of dollars. It's going to go to things we need millions of dollars to be going to. And so I support it. I'm happy to take it up today. If it's laid over, I'm not going to be here next week. I'd like to vote for it. So if it's going to be laid over, I'd like to see it laid over for more than 1 week.
2 weeks is fine with me.
One of the only things we're looking at is that deadline for the May 1st when the TID expires. Is that correct? May 1st?
May 1st,
We're looking at?
31st.
May 31st.
31st, okay. So if that happens, if we do lay it over for 2 weeks, are we still, as far as the timeline, are we still?
I think even if you did lay it over for 2 weeks, we're still within the timeline to get it passed. There's two things. One of them is we have to renew the TID before it expires.
Right.
And y'all could either do that with the old TID or the petition. The lodging tax, before we can collect it, we have to notify 8 or 2 months ahead of before we begin collecting it.
So we'd be 2 months behind on collecting. The more we lay it over, the longer we have to wait before we collect.
That's correct.
Okay, yeah, got that.
Anything else from the council?
Well, how long are we gonna lay it over? We're gonna vote for it? 2 weeks?
Mayor?
The TID was originally created because the city of Mobile was not funding Visit Mobile at the level of our competitive cities.
Microphone.
The TID was created because the city of Mobile was not funding Visit Mobile at the level other cities were being funded. At one time, I'm guessing at this, somebody at Visit Mobile can tell you exactly, but 20 years ago, we were giving them $4 million. 20 years ago, okay? And then it got cut to $2 million. And it's only now that we're back up, let's say, to that $4 million. If you look at cities like Savannah, Charleston, Birmingham, and you look around, they are giving their visitor arm of their city, or department of their city, a lot more money than we are. This is a way to get them more money without it coming out of the general fund. Just keep that in mind.
It's similar to the bid downtown. Same idea. Taxing themselves, assessing themselves.
Mr. President?
Mr. Penn?
Yeah. I'm fine with laying over. I think my colleagues have a great point of wanting to know more information, and there's no problem with having that desire. Just like Joe said, that it's some things I'm not happy with, but I just feel that at this point we need these type of funds coming in. But I'm fine with laying over if that's
Do it
what's needed.
2 weeks.
Mr. President.
Mr. Woods?
And I'm not whatsoever disagreeing with you, Mr. Penn, or disagreeing with the mayor. I just, the TID petition, and then also too, there's two parts. There's the increase of lodging tax, which, the increase in lodging tax wasn't necessarily to refund or to increase the budget of Visit Mobile. It was more towards, obviously generating a revenue stream to lower the cost of deplanements. And then also too, with the fact that we now are incurring or will incur debt to try to find some sort of additional funding stream to help service it. So that's where I guess my hang up is, the TID petition, obviously that's them, like the mayor said, them enforcing a tax on themselves. And, but there is a lot of changes. The TID is 37.5 from the 33. There's and now it's going to be on the whole 10% of where we all kind of talked about trying to fund the airport and also the Civic Center. And then on top of that, they're now switching on that TID from $1 a night to a percentage as well. So I think the TID accomplishes what they're trying to do themselves, increase, money. But I just, my hang up again is just on that additional lodging tax that, we intended, best intentions on that one, we're not going to experience, I guess. So that's really my only hang up on just trying to work that out. So.
Madam Clerk?
Ordinance 50-005, determine whether the Mobile Tourism Improvement District should be continued, modified, or terminated.
That's the date on 2 weeks.
Okay. 64007, consider the proposed modification of a previously approved planning approval for property located at 6254 Howes Ferry Road. 64008, consider the proposed modification of a previously approved planning approval for property located at 6208 Grotto Road. 64009, consider the proposed modification of a previously approved plan unit development for property located at 6208 Grotto Road. 84010, ordinance authorizing the issuance of up to 250 million principal amount of general obligation warrants, Series 2, 2025A.
Mr. President,
Mr. Days?
everybody okay? We're ready to move forward on this?
What are you talking about?
The bond issue.
What are you talking about?
What do you mean, what am I talking
Why would you even ask?
about? Sometimes I just want to make sure.
I think we're way too far down that rabbit hole, brother.
I agree with you 100%. Just trying to make sure.
Madam Clerk?
Consent resolutions held over 03160, appoint Consuela Phillips to the Mobile City County Youth Council. Resolutions held over 01186, authorize intergovernmental agreement with Mobile County for improvements at West Mobile County Park.
Mr. President.
Mr. Woods?
I do want to say thank you to the administration for matching this. This is coming from District 6 CIP and also $1 million from the administration. But I do have a question. And this, I think Mobile County Park, obviously I know some members of the council have a lot of parks in their district, and District 6 only have 1.5 or 2 really. This will be, an additional park that the county will provide for, especially for the newly annexed area as well. But just out of curiosity, you know, this is a long time coming after working with Commissioner Dewitt. So we're contributing to this project. What is the county agreed to contribute to our, what's the status on that? Since we're talking about the county at the moment, I guess.
You're referring to the arena?
Yes,
itself?
sir.
So the original ask from the county commission was that they participate by including 15 million for the arena and to help with the initial costs on a short time frame too, because of the need for the money quickly. The last negotiations we had is that there was a desire to do maybe 10 million. That 10 million was added into the cash stack that Scott prepared for the debt reduction or debt service on the arena. They did meet yesterday, but we do not know what the outcome was because it was an executive session. And so you will see probably an interagency agreement between the city. We'll probably propose to y'all to try to ask the county for the $10 million to go toward the arena as part of our cash stack going into it. As you know, we've always kind of participated mutually in a lot of events that benefit both the county and the city. I think we did $5 million toward the aquatic center and the soccer fields. We just approved the ankle monitoring where we split the cost for that. And so we feel pretty confident that this county commission should come through with at least $10 million.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead.
While you were talking, I was trying to recall the spreadsheet that Scott gave us showing the number from the county. That number was 15 million.
They were estimating
Yeah.
10 million.
It was 10 million. The original ask was 15. There wasn't really a consensus to go to 15.
So the amortization that y'all gave us last week was based on a $10 million contribution and not a $15 million contribution.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah. We can resend that spreadsheet if you want. But it anticipated, and again, the county commission hasn't moved forward yet. And so, but we probably will, and I hadn't had a chance to talk to Ricardo, go ahead and prepare an interagency agreement to give the city council, asking for that $10 million participation.
The reason why I'm asking is because I said last week that if anything changed, and there's some things that have changed, that whole amortization would have to be redone. Y'all have kind of alluded to that today, talking about that in year 6, we would start to see things, but I haven't seen an amortization on that yet. And I'm right. All I've been doing here is sitting in my head is counting numbers based on what y'all have given me. So it's just, that's why I'm asking that question. You know,
We'll resend.
let's sit down when I can just go through it without having it spotted. That way I'll have a clear understanding and not just a quick 30-second read of something. So he's trying to give it to you now, but let's do it where I can get a
We'll meet right after this.
understanding.
08187, approve item-based bids for outdoor power equipment. 08190, approve purchase order to Celebrite for annual renewal of forensic software for Gulf Coast Technology Center. 08192, approve purchase order to Jerry Pate Turf and Irrigation for 2 rotary mowers. 08193, approve purchase order to Sunbelt Fire for fire bunker gear, coats, pants, and leather boots. 08194, approve purchase order to Time Clock Plus for annual renewal of timekeeping software maintenance. 21195, authorized contract with ACOM Technical Service for Congestion Management Program. 21196, authorized contract with Kimley Horn and Associates for Congestion Management Program. 31198, authorized the mayor to apply, accept, and receive grant assistance from the Federal Emergency Management Agency in support of the Flood Mitigation Assistance Program. 6199 200, authorizing settlement agreement and release of claims. 21403, authorized contract with BL Harbor International for construction of new mobile arena. Consent resolutions being introduced. 46404, honorarily rename First Avenue to Margaret Small Way. 58405, declare weeds noxious Wheatland Group 1663, 58406, assessed cost for removal of weeds, Wheatland Group 1661, 6407 through 425, determining appropriations to Jack and Jill of America Incorporated Mobile Chapter, Africa Town Community Development, Salty Kids, serve a public purpose and approve payment. CIP resolutions being introduced, 08410, approve purchase order to Musco Sports Lighting for tennis court lights at Medal of Honor Park, $33,000.
Mr. President,
Mr. Baker.
as we did last week, we waived the rules for several either resolutions, CIP, or just regular resolutions, and this is 33,000. If y'all would like to waive the rules or just make this a first read, just checking to see what
That,
y'all want to do.
I mean, obviously, I'm in favor of doing that on Medal of Honor Park. We're at the
Right.
point where construction's kind of, this is a revisit based on, from my understanding, based on something that the Tennis Association needed to help with other funding as well. So, if we took this up today, it'd be greatly appreciated. So we're not holding anything up, but.
Okay. Are y'all good with waiving the rules on this one?
No objection.
Okay.
Resolutions being introduced, 01411, authorize agreement with the Alabama State Port Authority, the State of Alabama, and One Water LLC for sale of certain real property. 08412, approve purchase order to Insight Public Sector for HP desktop computers. You have
This one too. This is a 30,000, almost 31,000. Are y'all good with waiving this one? All right.
08413, approve purchase order to Kruger International for mechanical assist shelving, $148,911.60. 08414, approve purchase order to Magnet Forensics for annual renewal of forensic software for Gulf Coast Technology Center, $57,110. 08415, approve purchase order to SHI International for digital flash storage, $76,471.72. 08416, approve purchase order to Tablet Command for annual renewal of incident management software, $28,000.
And this is another one. Okay
Zoo-
with waiving this one? All right.
09417, appropriate funds in the Municipal Government Capital Improvement Fund to various capital projects, $1,350,000. 09418, allocate funds in the Municipal Stormwater Fee Capital Project to various stormwater management projects, $2,632,000. 09419, transfer funds from Capital Project Baumhauer Randall Park to the Capital Project Boys and Girls Club for design of site and facility improvements at the Parkway Community Center project, $226,150. 13420, authorized change order with Chris Brewer Contracting for citywide small asphalt repairs, increase of $750,000.
Mr. President,
Mr. Carroll.
would somebody in administration please tell me that the Dolphin Street between Mac Phillips and North Monterey has been handled in this group? I mean, I've been begging now for several years. I've even been told on several occasions that we would hire a utility contractor that would go in and correct the Moz work and the city work and back charge Moz because they can't get the projects. I've got the spot on Dolphin Street that is caving in again and causing not just the residents problems now, but the students problems at McGill, and I'm getting calls from them. Also, some of the students that travel that street going to Murphy that are hitting this massive pothole right there at McPhillips, and also the big one by Monterey. So somebody, please tell me, just please tell me that in this group, we're going to finally get to that and make it right.
Yes,
Thank you.
that's precisely what this is for. And even the stormwater fee project, the item that was above that has a project in there that does miscellaneous spot repairs. So all of those coupled with this asphalt allows us to address those items like that.
So my next request, since I've been asking for this to be corrected the right way now for 3 years, is that those locations be put at the top of the list and not made to wait until 2026 on somebody getting to them.
Yeah, they're very much on the top of the list. The reason they haven't got to is because the previous dollars, quite frankly, had run out along Dolphin Street. It is a mix of both some of city issues that need to be addressed as well as MAWS. We're working with them. We're very close to getting a joint contract let. To deal with the problems when it becomes unknown if it's ours or theirs. So all of that's moving along very, very, very good.
I think, and I've said this to you while we were talking, but I can say this publicly now. There needs to be a better relationship between our forces and MAWS forces when it comes to actually doing repair and the finger pointing. I think there needs to be a sole contractor that handles the utility. If not, we're going to continue to do this. If this is we're going to continue to have those incidents when nobody wants to do the work. If this is that contract that does this work, then I want to hear you say that Chris Brewer is doing both the MAWS side and the city side.
This contract that is before you is just for asphalt repairs. There was, over a number of years, there was requests to be able to deal with potholes on top of potholes. This deals with large patches. Been very successful. The public services side of the house has managed that and it's gotten done. There is a contract that's been working on with MAWS for a couple of months now to do just that, where we'll both let a project ourselves with the exact same pay items in them. The city will own a contract and MAWS will own a contract. And then when there is a problem that's identified, it's unidentifiable whose problem it actually is, whether it's water, sewer, or storm drain, one contractor will actually be able to dig down and do it. And we work very closely with MAWS. We have standing meetings with them. I speak with their administrative staff on a regular basis. As you know, that part of town you're talking about, so it's very old. The infrastructure's tired, and we're trying to keep it patched together as well as we can.
Mr. Amberg, I agree with that. But when we fix a patch 10 times and it keeps failing, I mean, that's the definition of insanity.
Patches haven't been fixed 10 times. They've
been fixed twice since I've been back in office.
So that's
twice
is not 10 times.
And I don't know how many times they have been tried to have been fixed before I got back in office. So they've been fixed quite a few times right there in that stretch of Dolphin Street. And that's not an exaggeration. All I'm saying is that we need to move quicker on finding a contractor and a contract to resolve this.
We would welcome the council considering this on a first read. I mean, it speeds it up. I mean,
I'm fine with that, but it's $2 million, and I don't know. It's $1 million. I don't know where they're going. But all I'm saying is that this has been going on for a long time. We have an opportunity here where we all know that we need to address it. I say let's bite the bullet and put forth the contract to address it instead of just saying that we have it. Either we or MAWS are going to have to write the contract and move it forward. Period.
So I got it. Go ahead. So one thing that we do have that contract in place. One thing that does sometimes prohibit the speed of it is bid loss. But we're moving past that. I would ask though, I would echo the concern that us working in hand with MAWS on the administrative side it goes fairly well. I think it's probably a good idea for us to have a 360 approach with not only Nick and his team meeting with the administrators there, but knowing that the people that you all appoint to MAWS, because you all have control over that board, not only in the appointments, but in the establishment of it, that message be sent from you all as the governing body, as the elected officials, that this is a priority for all of you all. Because I know it's an ongoing problem. I think they know it, but if that's communicated clearly from both the administration and the council, we probably do move it to the top of the list and deal with that.
Thank you for that statement. I constantly talk to my board member, who is Raymond Bell, and I've called him and asked for immediate responses to lots of items. But to talk about bid law, the city has the opportunity to do what's called job order contracting, with contract with capacity on them, where there's capacity set for these types of items, where we allow a number of contractors to be able to respond to these. we have never looked at other options in how we do business in this city. And I think that it's time that we start looking at those options for items like this. It's not a problem in just my district. It's a problem in every district where we have these small, not ours, but yours incidents with malls in the city of Mobile. That's all I'm saying. We need to take a better look and a new approach.
Actually did do that. But one of the problems we run into is capacity. And so we're willing to take all ideas that will work, and we're willing to collaborate with them and cite making sure that we use the bid law. I mean, it's a prohibition sometimes, but we've actually done what you said. And that contract that Nick was just talking about, that is one that we actually put in place to move faster. So glad this is before you. I would actually ask if you all want to move faster with this 750 and take it by consent. We'd be happy to move even faster that way.
I'm fine with that. It depends on what the body of the council wants to do. But when you say capacity, we currently have a CIP program that works on the premise of also capacity, where they come in and ask us every year how much money that we want to put in certain items in certain places. That amount of money we can't spend more than in parks and streets and wherever else. We can take the same approach when we talk about capacity. We know that we're going to run out of money every year on certain items before we get to all of them, but at least we're doing some of them. And we can place monies out there for a certain amount for that type of capacity. Thank you, Mr. President.
Before we leave this particular, Nick, can we get a list of what you've got planned for the stormwater and the miscellaneous, just so we can see where we fall in each district?
Oh, and by the way, thank y'all for Hannon Street. I think once we get to fixing that stormwater over there, the residents on Hannon and McGill and Conti, where it's been flooding since I was in grade school over there, they'll be very appreciative of that. I know they look forward to us getting to it. They keep thinking it's going to happen in 26, but they really need to know what's going to happen in 25 and this year. Thank you.
31421, authorize the mayor to accept sub-award agreement between City of Mobile and the State of Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, $2,096,981. 37422, 423, and 424, considering applications for certificate of public convenience and necessity to operate shuttle service and sedan service. Announcements. The city council meeting next week will be held on Wednesday, March the 5th.
Council,
Mr. President,
Ms. Gregory.
just wanted to let you all know that Alabama's new distinguished young woman will be here today. I have a resolution for her, and if you did not know, she is from Mobile. Her name is Shayla Holloway. You all may know her grandparents as well as her parents. So we look forward to having her here today.
Anyone else from the council? Anything from the administration? All right, we'll see each other at 10:30.
Oh, yeah. What is his wife, or what's his wife's name? I can't remember.